You are in the right place. This video, we're going to be previewing Nebraska's attempted game plan against Colorado this upcoming weekend. So let's start with the Cornhuskers' last game. They scored a grand total of 10 points. Colorado scored over 40 points, 45 points to be exact. So the Cornhuskers need to reconcile that, and that's what goes into game planning. All right. This is $1 billion industry, if you haven't noticed. The better the school does, the more money comes their way. It's the most serious process outside of the game itself and recruiting. All right. So Tuesdays are typically the game plan install day. All right. If the game was on Saturday, coaches and analysts work on next week's game plan Sunday, Monday, and then they roll it out on Tuesday to the players. On Tuesday, your position coach or whoever will hand you a binder to review. Inside the binder is the game plan. All right. That's the game plan, the trends and tendencies of the opposing team, the strengths and weaknesses of the players you're going to be going against, all right? And it lets you know what kind of week to anticipate when you see the person on Saturday. If you're going to be facing a 6'4", 250-pound wide receiver, you may want to do some push-ups that week, okay, buddy? Because you're going to have to bring your lunch, all right? So, again, a lot goes into this. As a former player, Tuesdays, you have it, you're going through it, they're talking about it on the field, you go practice it a little bit, and then you're studying it throughout the week. There's some fine tuning that happens all the way up until a walkthrough, which is typically on Friday. So what will be in the plan for Nebraska? All right, so they needed help on all three phases. So I'm going to be talking about the offense, the defense, and the special teams. The thing about Colorado, they have an explosive offense, all right? And one of the things that I think plagued TCU, there was no prior game tape. They now have game tape, and they're going to be trying to take things away, all right? So for the defense, they have to be advantageous. They need to be practicing trying to strip the ball all week, trying to cause fumbles. Colorado did put the ball on the ground a few times. It wasn't either the person was ruled down or it was an actual fumble, all right? And then you also have to think about how you can cover Dylan Edwards coming out of the backfield. He was absolutely a nightmare for TCU coming out of the backfield, and ran up all those touchdowns. The yards after catch were incredible. So that's somebody you're going to have to pay attention to. So Nebraska has a legacy kind of defense. They've put out more defensive players than you think. Ndamukong Suh comes to mind, Prince Akamara, and some other folks. So I think they got athletes on that other side. So their approach to game plan is going to be taking away what the Colorado Buffaloes did last week against TCU. All right. So I think they're going to try to go after the ball and cause a lot of turnovers. The big game plan is they have to steal possessions. All right. If you score 10 points and the other team scored 45 points the week before, that means you have to try to meet in the middle. And the way you're able to score more points and take more points away from the other team is taking possessions away. And that's where special teams comes in. All right, so if there was ever a weak point in Colorado's game last week with TCU, it was their special teams. Once they kicked that ball out of bounds and started to have to put the ball in play and do these like pop kicks, they really made themselves vulnerable to kick returns. And to me, if I'm the special teams unit, I am focusing on that. We are trying to live action, bring the ball out and see what can happen if they punt it or kick it in the field of play. If they don't do the touchback game, we're trying to bring it out. All right, we need to be super aggressive on that end. They also expect the onside kick here or there. The special teams for Colorado, I don't know how they are, their tendencies, but they do. So they've looked at all of their kick returns in the past week or so. So if they can feel like they can sneak an onside kick, they'll try to do that. All right, it could be in the middle of the second quarter, they score, and they might try to take a possession away. And then that goes for offense, all right? Offense, their quarterback, Jeff Sims for Nebraska, went 11 of 19 for 114 yards and 3 interceptions. That is absolute shit, son. And that you can't have that kind of game. So, one, it's going to be limited to turnovers. Please do not throw 3 interceptions. That's crazy. He did have 91 yards rushing, so I feel like they're going to continue to keep that pressure up, using his legs and try to put him in best case scenario positions, all right? But here's the thing. When you are trying to steal possessions and being aggressive, that means they're going to be going for more than likely, all right? So if they're on the 30-yard line going in, if it's 4th and 2, 4th and 7, whatever the case may be. If they feel it's manageable, they may not settle for field goals. This is not the game where you want to think the field goal is going to do it. Colorado's offense is a little bit too explosive for that. So on those downs, I do expect it, in those situations, I do expect them to go for it more than likely. So if they're 3rd and goal from the 3-yard line, I expect 2 plays. All right, they're going to go for a 3rd and go for a 4th down. So unless they're just out of it, it's 4th and 12, 4th and 17 on the other side of the yard line, I expect them to try to be aggressive. So on those 3 phases, special teams, they're going to try to steal possessions and bring out kick-off returns. Defense, they need to be stripping at the ball. They're doing that anyway, but that needs to be an emphasis because we're trying to take possessions away if I'm Nebraska. Also, on offense, we got to try to keep the ball out of Colorado's hands. So I do feel they're going to run a little bit more, especially with Jeff Sims rushing for 91 yards last week. It's limiting turnovers, rushing the ball, and being super aggressive on 4th down because you don't want to go down 0-2. You just don't. And I understand Nebraska may not be thinking, oh, this is a national championship year, but this is a rival. This is something they want to get the bad taste out of their mouth from losing to Minnesota the week before. So I do expect them to be a really desperate team going into Folsom Field. And that's where Colorado has to up its game. It has to show up the kick return stuff. They got to show up the kickoff coverage stuff. They have to make sure they putting their playmakers in the right position because they're going to be keying on Dylan Edwards. They're going to be keying on the other wide receivers. So it's going to be super important Shedeur continues to spread the ball out. I mean, he doesn't need anybody to remind him. He had 400-yard receivers, and that is absolutely insane. It's not been done before at Colorado. It's kind of a weird stat. It's a Madden stat. It's like, oh, I want to play the whole game and spread the ball out. So he's going to have no issues doing that, but it's trying to limit the big plays, try to be advantageous, try to get fumbles, and again on the offensive side, they have to be able to convert touchdowns. That's the only way they're going to be able to reconcile a 10-point performance and a 45-point performance by Colorado. Try to meet in the middle and win the game at the end. Last thing I wanted to emphasize again was this is a billion-dollar industry. This school is worth multi-millions and hundreds of millions of dollars. This program is worth multi-millions of dollars in the Power 5. The reason why I'm saying that is they put a lot into the game plan because they want to stay there. You got to understand, Matt Rhule may be good, but he has assistant coaches, all right? And these assistant coaches have come from all over this country and moved their families to Nebraska, okay? And their kids are in school. They want continuity. They want stability. You don't want to end up like the coaches before, say Scott Frost, who came in with a lot of potential. You think you're going to be there, and he didn't get the job done, so they got rid of him and got Matt Rhule. That happens, okay? If your team is winning, that means more than likely that's not going to happen. So that's why it's super important and critical on install days. That's why it's, to me, the third behind the game itself, recruiting. It's the install process where you practice it and prepare yourself for the best results on Saturday, because people's families are like, stability is literally on the line. Can I get a better job? Can I stay here? Or, oh shit, we got fired and now I got to move across the country to take the same job. That you don't want to be a part of. So that's why a lot of, pressure is put into the install process from the college level.